continue to cover the breaking news after President Biden decided to bow out of the presidential race and endorse his Vice President Kamala Harris. Our Dave Lavelle is again standing by from the White House. He's talking with voters. But first, we want to bring in DC News Now weekday anchor Mark Hall into the conversation. Mark, if the decision of a sitting president to not seek re-election sounds unprecedented, that's because it is for the past half century. It was most recently President Lyndon Johnson's decision to not run for re-election that comes remotely even close to President Biden's choice.
Oh, Ben, you're spot on. I mean, this is a historical moment, and there are some similarities between President Johnson and President Biden. They both were vice presidents of this great country of ours, but that might be where the similarities begin and end. How they got into the Oval Office are completely different. As you recall, Johnson got into the Oval Office after President Kennedy was assassinated, and he served from 1963 to 1969. And President Johnson had a very, very successful, but also tumultuous run in the White House. You may recall the Vietnam War, and was certainly very unpopular in this country. And then, of course, you had the civil rights movement. And both of those issues really weighed heavily on President Johnson. And again, he passed a lot of historic legislation, but really the experts will tell you that those two main issues that we were dealing with in the late 60s really took a toll on the president. And the Vietnam War really had an impact on his popularity. And of course, President Biden, his popularity has dropped a bit since, since he had since he and President Trump had that first debate a few weeks ago. And President Johnson again chose not to run. Another iconic moment that he had was in his announcement that he was not going to seek re-election or accept the nomination from the Democratic Party, and that opened the door for President Nixon, who won in 1968. And just a few years after that, President Johnson died at the young age of 64 years of age. And age is the issue when it comes to President Biden. Many of Democrats felt concerned or became concerned after his debate performance against former President Trump. And then that's really got us to where we're at today. The concern was, could he beat President Trump in November? And party leadership really applied a lot of pressure and were calling publicly for him to step down. And that's where we are, Ben.
And you know, Mark, we say a lot in this business to follow the money, and a lot of that war chest now transitioning over to Kamala Harris even before the convention comes about and the delegates cast their vote. But what do Democrats have to really do right now to rally the party around a candidate to secure a nomination without showing voters that they can't get this done smoothly?
Well, Ben, let's not discount what you just said. Often when we're talking about politics at this level, it's all about the money. And again, you know, you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, and you know, the Biden Harris campaign has a lot of money, and so there's campaign finance concerns right now. And so the question is, you know, if you start with a whole new ticket without, you know, even Kamala Harris being on the ticket, then you may have to start from zero when it comes to raising money for this campaign, for this stretch run. So what I'm hearing now is that most Democrats are probably going to try and rally behind Kamala Harris, but there are some Democrats that are not supporting Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket. And so the goal, I think, right now for Democrats is to really figure this out. The behind the scenes conversations, Ben Dennis, that are taking place even as we speak. They're going to have to really figure this out. Are they going to rally behind Kamala Harris before the convention next month to have some momentum going in, to their convention that's going to be held in Chicago about a month from now? So we're just going to have to wait and see how this plays out. But there are a lot of names that are out there, including Joe Manchin, who many people feel would have the same appeal as President Trump's VP pick to Rust Belt voters and the working class voters as well in some of those key battleground states. So Ben Dennis, with a lot's going to happen between now and the Democratic convention, and we're just going to see how this thing is going to play out.
Our Mark Hall joining us this evening. Mark, thank you. And to your point, yeah, there have been some reporting that the president has been on the phones all afternoon long, likely reassuring donors and party Democrats as well to try and back who he is backing, Vice President Harris. Mark Hall, thank you for joining us, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ben.